DJ, what's up, brother? Appreciate you coming on. It's been a long time coming, and we're going from basically the top of the world, being an NBA player, pro basketball player, to now having to almost start from ground zero. How's that transition been for you?
It's been pretty cool. Like I said, hasn't been like hard as I guess maybe most athletes have been. Because when I was younger, my mom always had me doing seminars and going to conferences and stuff like that. So I always was kind of prepared for the next stage or next level of what I was going to do. But I kind of just flowed kind of right into it. Started to be an author. I never wanted to be an author. It just kind of just happened. I wanted to continue to tell my story. Kind of got dabbled into the VC, the angel investing world. That kind of intrigued me ever since I even played. So having a little bit of equity into a company kind of really just opened my eyes to different things and different businesses and ventures. So I just try to do a little bit of everything, but also just try to stay busy also.
Yeah, and I think that's key. Now, have you been doing a lot of this stuff before? Like while you're playing, were you setting up some of it? Were you thinking about it? Or did it kind of just all end and then you're jumping right into the business side of life?
It kind of just really just happened, like I said. But during my playing days in the summer times, I would go to internships at ESPN. I went to internships at Google. Did a couple of real estate internships because those are things that interest me. So I always wanted to stick in to do things that interest me and see like what their day in the life would be like if I stopped playing right now, if I would like to do it, or if their jobs or careers kind of interest me. So I think that's what just kept me busy throughout my playing career.
Yeah, so you're a natural curious person, kind of like myself.
Yeah.
What are those internships like? What were they like? Did they tailor them towards you? Was it you with a bunch of like college kids, or how did that go about?
It was actually me and a couple of the NBA players. A couple of the internships I was by myself, like at EA Sports. I got to see how they made video games. I got to see what went into it, all the process, all the ins and outs of making a video game. And then real estate, I got to see what they did in real estate, how they made deals, how do you kind of really set up a price for a house, things of that nature. So it kind of just gave me the ins and outs of things you don't see from afar.
Yeah, and would you say that basketball has had a good impact on? We talk about a lot of. You just look at sports, you look at VC, you look at anything. You see a lot of high performers, and a lot of them credit a lot of their success to sports. Would you say that's similar to you? You've had a similar experience where it's kind of set the foundation, or what are your thoughts around that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think sports makes it way more easier. I think anyone wants to be around a professional athlete, whether they're famous or not. I think everyone just gravitates towards athletes for some reason. Even like your newsletter that I read all the time, the athletes have a lot of power that they really don't know or understand. I think their athletes are starting to figure out, all the power that they have and kind of use it to get equity, to get ownership in these certain kind of companies and things of that nature.
Yeah, and I want to pull it back a step because now we're seeing with NIL, transfer portals opened right now. It's going crazy. There's like 1,000 kids in the first couple days. Deion Sanders gets hired at Colorado.
Right.
I'd love to play for him. I'm just curious your
Me
thoughts.
too.
Number one, on just the transfer portal, and then also Deion. If he's like a coach you would love to play for and be a part of.
I definitely would love to play for him. He's encouraging. He's definitely been there before, played at the highest level, and obviously was a great player in his own right. So I would love to play for any former player like that. But I don't really watch football, honestly, that much. I'm not really into the transfer portal, honestly. I don't really watch a lot of college stuff, but I'm starting to get into it more since my daughter plays volleyball. So I'm trying to figure out, where she wants to go and what interests her, and just try to stay a step ahead of the game with the transfer stuff, just so I can, kind of help guide her.
And what differences are you seeing now? I'm definitely intrigued because you went through the process of recruiting back in the early 2000s. Now your daughter's going through it. There's NIL, there's social media, there's all these things that didn't really exist when you were playing.
Right.
What's the difference? Like, what are you seeing? How much different does it look? What are you doing to make sure she's in a good spot for? Obviously, the main thing is to play, and she plays volleyball, correct?
Right, correct, yeah.
The main thing is volleyball. Yeah. Now, what are the side things? What is the NIL piece? Like, how do you put it all together? Because there's a lot more for recruits and just athletes in general now than there were probably when you were going through it, or even me going through it about 7 years ago.
Right. I think the biggest thing is, it's like you said, the NIL part and the money part. Now back when I played, I guess you can hide the money and say people, you guess that people got money or whatever. They went to a certain school. Now it's really not hiding it. It's basically out in the open. and now guys or girls are asking, what can I get from an NIL perspective from this specific college if I go there. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, and I think just for my daughter, I just think just trying to get her mentally to where she can play at whatever level she's capable of playing at, and then also just being able to sustain that throughout the 4 or 5 years she'll be there.
Yeah, and you have 3 daughters. So what the youngest one, Annika, we heard her early in the beginning. What's that been like for you and I don't know if you have brothers or anything growing up, but to have 3 daughters and just to see the whole female side of sports. Are you doing anything, making any investments, putting any resources, effort? We'll get to your books in a sec. I know that's a big piece of it, but to help grow the women's game as well, because I'm sure that's more of an emphasis for you now that you have some stake in it with your daughters.
Yeah, I would love to be an investor in like a volleyball pro league, especially in America, because for volleyball players, they have to go overseas to play. So I think that would be definitely something I would be interested in, or pickleball, something like that,
We've been working around the pickleball a little bit.
Right.
We've been trying to figure it out. Get that team in Vegas, have CJ Watson's squad.
Right.
Get
that'd be dope.
You play pickleball at all?
No, I don't. But this summer I'm gonna get out there. Several people have asked me, so I'm gonna get out there for sure this summer and try to, break out of retirement and get out there.
That's what I was gonna say next. I mean, I graduated like 18 months ago, and I haven't really touched a ball. Have you been playing ball at all? Do you still go around and shoot, or does basketball kind of just like, for me, it just like stopped? Was that the same for you, or how did you ease out of it? Because now I'm playing golf, pickleball, doing triathlons. Like I got to keep that athletic.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about boxing. What have you been doing for that?
Yeah, so for basketball, once I was done, I just felt like I gave basketball everything I had, so I'm just done with basketball. But I played here and there like the past year or so, but now I'm just completely done. I can't do it anymore because guys just come at me because I'm a former NBA player and try to, make a highlight or whatever. So I'm done. I don't want to be in no highlights.
Yeah, the cameras come out and all the mixtapes, all the between hezzies.
Right.
Yeah. No, I know how it is. That's why no gear ever at the gym. It's just plain white tees and the beater. But yeah, no, it's funny. Now I want to pull another string on that. So you say, okay, basketball, it ends, it's done. You put everything into it. I did the same thing. I would argue that most athletes are the same way.
Right.
What does the average day for you look like now? And how have you blocked it out? Because that's obviously, there's such a large chunk of time that's now open for us, which you can either use to your advantage or not. How have you gone about that, and how are you scheduling it? And then I know you have angel investments, books, charity, all that stuff, so I'm sure it plays into it. But what does like an average day look like?
So average day for me, honestly, just depends. They're all different. But on the regular, my average day is always waking up in the morning, taking my kids to school, getting them ready. After drop off, coming back home, maybe doing laundry, checking emails, looking at different kind of investments, pitch decks, things of that nature. And then just working on my book, like you said. And then after that, afternoon time, I'm going back in the car line and doing that hectic stuff with the kids and crazy parents. So, and then taking my kids to practice also. So, like I said, every day is different, but it's also kind of the same in a gesture.
Yeah, no, running the whole dad life, that's awesome.
Yeah, I say I'm a paid chauffeur.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I guess that's a good point. We'll get to, this is obviously more of a sports business podcast, so we definitely want to get to the business side of things, angel investments. But a huge piece of what you've done is you've authored 3 books, and you don't see too many athletes do that at all. The only one I knew really before you was Chris Paul, and it was kind of around his grandfather. Right. And you have written 3 of them, and they're all you. I don't know if Chris wrote his or not, but just explain that process, what went into it, why you did it. It's 5 stars on Amazon. It's like a bunch of reviews. I actually bought it for my cousin, for my younger cousin for Christmas before we got on the interview. I was just researching your stuff. I was like, hey, this is perfect.
Oh, thanks.
But side note there, I'm just curious about all of that went into it.
So for me, like I said before, I would never plan on being an author. I was just honestly sitting on my couch one day and I was done playing. I was like, how can I continue to inspire young kids, especially kids that look like me and maybe come from the same areas as me? And I said I want to continue to tell my story. So that was just my emphasis to write a book. So I went to one of my old coaches who I knew was an author. I asked him what the process was, what his process was, how did it work, how did it happen? and introduced me to this lady, and we started talking for 4 or 5 months and went over every detail of the story that I wanted to get out. And then, that's how the first book came about. And then I said I had more stories. So I wanted to keep telling stories. So the second one came, the third one came, and then now I'm working on my fourth one right now. So just I want to continue to tell my story and help inspire kids to dream big and to just work hard for their dreams.
That's awesome. I love it. I actually, one of the things that I did when I was stopped playing was I wrote a recruiting book just to help kids go through it, made it real
Right.
cheap. So it's similar type process. And that's why I write, just to clear my mind. It helps me see
Right.
the bigger picture on everything. So I'm sure you see it the same way. And actually, I was looking at your LinkedIn a little bit before, and you have this quote on there, give back the knowledge you have received. I'm just kind of curious of how that relates to the book, and then just what that means to you in general. Give back what you have received, the quote.
So growing up, my parents always took me and my brother to nursing homes. We were big in church, so going to feed the homeless, things of that nature. And so many people, poured confidence and belief into me, even when I probably didn't believe in myself. So my goal is to always give back to those, the next generation to help them do the same thing. Because someone took the time to talk to me and maybe encourage me or give me a pointer here and there, and I can do the same thing.
Yeah, I must say you are very good at relationship building, networking. You've done it with me. I'm sure you do it with a ton of other people. And I think that's a good kind of segue into the angel investing part, because so much of it is deal flow and relationships and knowing the right people.
Right.
I know that your business partner, one of them is Rashawn Williams. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious, your setup from an angel investing, how you're sourcing deal flow, if you're partnered with VCs or private equity firms, if you're doing it all yourself, or just kind of that process as a whole and what it looks like for you.
So mostly I do all my deal flow through Rashawn and his VC, and also Tribe Capital. I met a guy there named Andrew, so they both give me insight, good and bad, and tell me when I do things good, when I do make bad decisions. So that's always a good thing. But they always give me knowledge, which is the great thing. They told me several books to read, so I got those books and read them. So I always just try to do things like that just to heighten my knowledge, because I don't know everything in the VC game or angel investing game. So I'm trying to learn as much as I can in a short period of time, because I'm kind of behind the curve, because I didn't really get into it late. So I was more concerned about basketball and stuff like that. So, but I try to do some deals on my own, but I also just go to them for knowledge and before I make any decisions.
Yeah, no, that's what it's all about. Learn from the people that know. It's the same
Right.
people who go to you for basketball or
Right.
whatever it is. I'm just curious on a side note of that. Are there certain types of deals you look at? Do you look at everything? Because I know some athletes are very much focused on what they know best, at least at the
Right.
start. They go fitness or wellness. You see that all the time.
Yeah.
Or they go, athlete creator type stuff. And then we had the car dealerships, restaurants in the past.
Right.
Is yours pretty broad? Are you pretty narrow? Or what does that look like? And then any companies that kind of fit into it?
Mine is kind of broad, but I think my whole thing is just investing with people who have done it before. Also investing with people who put skin in the game, but also investing with something that's going to change the world and it's going to better the world or better the people in the world. So I think those are my biggest kind of pointers to what I look for into a company.
Yeah, and when you say, obviously, it seems like you're a people investor, where you're going to go more for the founders, more so than the idea. And it's obviously always a combination of both, but you see it both ways. Some people are more the numbers and the idea and the market, and then
Right.
some people are more the people. Would you say you fall more on the people side? And if so, why is that?
I think I fall more on the people side. I just believe in having a good relationship with the founders and believing in the founders. Believing that this founder is a person who can handle adversity. Maybe there's going to be times in business, obviously in any business, it might not be the best spot. So how can this founder get them out of that spot and in typical scale and get better? So I think that's what I kind of look for in founders, just that courage, that fight and belief in yourself and in the company.
You ever think about starting a company yourself? Or are you going to go more on the investing side and then maybe later on, because you kind of see a little bit of that now with athletes,
Yeah.
where eventually they just go, wait a second, it's cool to own a
Right.
couple percent of a company,
Right.
but what if I own 70-80% of it and then I have investors in it? I'm in Shumpert. He has some funny beliefs around that. I'm just
Right.
curious what your thoughts are around more the investing versus the entrepreneurship side, because like your books, you own 100%.
Right. I think I want to stick to more than investing. I'm trying to get my wife to start a company, like a kids company or something like that, so I can kind of back her and kind of go raise money of that nature. But I don't really want to do it.
Yeah, no, I feel you. The founders, I mean, you got to be a different breed. And
Yeah, a lot of
it's
stress, a lot of stress in that.
oh,
Man.
so much stress. A lot of people. And the one thing I laugh about is people always think, oh, founding your company, starting one. And it's
Right.
great. It really is. There's freedom to it.
Right.
But you're still an employee in a sense. Your employee isn't a boss. Your employee is your investors, your
Right.
customer. You're still an employee almost to everyone. You got to report to all these people. So that's why I'm definitely lean more on the investing side as well, where it's like, hey, let me add value in as many
Right.
ways as possible. Let me connect you with people like CJ, and
Right.
let's go do this thing. Let me support you.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of if you want to, you don't have to if you don't want to, but if you could highlight some of the angel investments you've made and some of the companies and how you think they're gonna change the future.
So I invested in Instacart, Turo, a company called Zen Water behind me, and Genius Juice. I think those are two big companies that are going to do well. Like I said, I just like those companies because they change. They're healthy, which I like to be healthy. I'm not vegan, but kind of like plant based. Have a cheat meal every now and then. But I think these companies are going to change the world and continue to grow. So I think that's why I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece of it too. I always see people that you got to buy the product, you got to use the product,
Right.
and that's why you see some of these athletes now that they get behind. And seems like you've done the same thing with Zen Water. I'm sure you had it before you invested in it, and we've seen it with Whoop and Therabody, like you said. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of athletes in that one. It's like you can believe in it, you can make money from it as well, and you're going to use it. So if you're going
Right.
to use it anyway, you might as well own it. Are
Yeah.
you mostly on the angel investing side? Do you dabble? I know you talked about real estate a little bit, but what does your kind of portfolio look like? You don't have to give me percentages or anything, but do you have a dabble in a little bit of each stock market? Or are you purely, more on the angel side?
Purely just more on the angel side. I used to have a couple rental houses, but we sold them right after COVID.
Hit the top of the market on that.
Right, yeah. So I want to get back into the real estate game. Just maybe owning a couple of houses, maybe multiplex or duplex, something like that. But for now, just mostly angel investing.
Yeah, angel investing. It's a long time frame.
Right. Yeah.
Have you seen any? Or you're starting to kind of get to the later stage where there might be an acquisition or an IPO, or has it been more recent where you're still kind of in the early stages and seeing some good, some bad? Because everyone that starts angel investing, they said there's like year 4 or year
Right.
5 where
Yeah.
everything's like either really good or it starts, some of the companies
Right.
start falling off. Where are you in that process?
So most of the investments that I've done have been late stage. So late stage investments are maybe a 2 to 3 year period, not like mostly early stage, maybe like 7 to 10 or whatever. So Turo was actually supposed to go public. It didn't go public because of the market, and also Instacart. So those two would have been some good ones to get back. But hopefully within the next year or so they'll maybe go public.
Yeah, and what is your preference around the late stage? If you can just dive into that a little bit deeper.
I just like that because, like I said, I get my money back. I don't really have the funds that I used to have of getting the big checks in the NBA. So I'm gonna live on a budget and retire life. So I gotta kind of plan out for every year, every couple years. So that's why I like late stage better instead of holding the money for 7 to 10 year period and hoping it goes public or gets acquired.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. You see a lot of the athletes do that, just quicker time frame.
Right.
I don't want to say safe, but a lot safer
Yeah.
than investing in an early stage company and just an idea.
Right.
When we talk about, you talked about Rashawn Williams a little bit and your business partner and doing deal flow through that. Are there any other, what does your team look like? Like, do you have a bunch of other people? Do you have, obviously, like Rashawn, do you have a financial advisor? Do you have lawyers, do you have, what does that look like? What are the different verticals for you?
Yeah, so I have a lawyer, I have a CPA, financial advisor, but obviously I work with Rashawn and, like I said, the other guy, Andrew at Tribe Capital. So whenever I get deal flow or anything that looks something that I want to invest in, I always send it to my lawyer or financial advisor and have him look over it, see if he sees any cracks or anything like that. And if he doesn't, then I kind of just go with my gut and then go with the information that I get from the pitch decks and any information like that in the data flow.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. What I kind of want to pull it back here for a second. It's related to that, but something with when I was in college, my teammates, we're learning all this. We're reading books. We started dabbling in the stock market a little bit, and we still talk all the time, every day. Hey, look, I saw this, cool stock, or I saw this. And do you have those relationships with either former NBA players, or I know you played in Europe, if any of those guys, college guys, you still have that kind of circle where you do not only financial stuff, but just anything? Are you in touch with a lot of these guys?
Yeah. Some of my old teammates, even friends like I grew up with, who have careers and stuff now, they dabble in the stock market. We always send different companies to look out for in the stock market, but also former athletes. We always send pitch decks about companies that they might be interested in or they might get into, and might give me the option to get in with them. And also like real estate stuff too. Some of my teammates do real estate, try to get me to go in with them on building houses and stuff like that. So I think it's just always good to have those different avenues of different people and different genres to tap into.
Yeah. And now, did you see that change during your career? Because you also, I know we touched on it a little briefly on how much it changed, but you kind of came into the NBA around the same time social media is just blossoming. The
Right.
same time athletes and their, power, influence, and ability to go do deals and get into this kind of stuff is skyrocketing.
Right.
NIL, obviously, of late. But you kind of you rode that wave up. Did you see that, like, in the locker room or with teammates or just kind of in the media? Did you feel it, or did you kind of look back now and kind of just have that hindsight view of like, oh, yeah, I saw how this all played out?
Yeah, I really saw it. Yeah, and mostly I was a lower total pole guy, but so mostly
I don't know about that. You're a baller, man.
the bigger deals are like equity deals or for the superstar players or franchise players. But there was a couple companies that I got in and got some equity in, which was good, and kind of got my feet wet in the equity and angel investing world. So that's how I kind of got into it. But I definitely saw the change and the trend, and it's definitely getting bigger and bigger every day.
Yeah. Any players that kind of go under the radar on the business sense? Like, I would say you're one of the most underrated. There should be way more press and just people talking to you about this stuff. You do one of the best jobs of anyone. Are there any other players? Because we all hear about Steph and Kevin Durant and LeBron, but of course they should get in whatever they want. It should be easy for them. Are there any other guys that kind of fly under the radar that you think do a fantastic job?
For me, just the guys that I know, because I play with them, Baron Davis, Al Harrington. Those two guys are kind of like guys that I look up to and have been mentors for me in the NBA and just off the court also. So I think those two guys are great business guys, business savvy, and definitely tap into different things, investing and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, that's awesome. And as we kind of wrap it up here, I'd like to keep these short, quick, to the point so anyone can listen anytime. What does the future for CJ Watson look like? I know you got your fourth book on the way. You're going to keep angel investing.
Yeah.
You said you're dabbling back in real estate. Your daughter's coming up playing different sports, volleyball. You're a chauffeur. You got all these different hats on. What does the future look like for you? We'll just pin it to the next 5 to 10 years.
Just gaining more knowledge about the VC world, about the angel investing world, and hopefully some of these companies, go 10x, 20x, and then continuing to spread knowledge of what I've learned from other people, and just like I said, just give back, and then just being a father and a husband, and trying to help people along the way.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, CJ, I appreciate you coming on. We'll obviously keep the conversation going, and if anyone wants to reach out to you, if you can just give kind of your socials or whatever, where they can reach you.
Social is quietstorm_32 on Instagram and Twitter. I don't know what my Facebook is, but whatever else, just hit me up, DM me, send me a message, whatever.
Awesome. Well, that was quietstorm_32. Thanks again, CJ, and appreciate everyone listening.
Appreciate it. Thanks.